Well, good morning, everyone. This is our Seattle 1 Million Cups. I'm Tiara Bonds, founder of Take Charge Consulting and also an organizer with 1 Million Cups. Thank you all for being here. We're going to hear from Melvin in a little bit with NiteLifeNav. And we will post our link tree in the chat. Make sure to follow us on all the social medias and sign up for our weekly updates so that you get the meeting notifications, and then just bookmark the link tree. So what is 1 Million Cups about? It looks like everyone's faces are pretty familiar, but just a reminder, it's support, building our community, asking for help, offering help, and sharing ideas. And we do this while drinking coffee. So I'm sure you guys have been to numerous networking events where, we're there to grow our businesses. But one thing I noticed about 1MC when I attended my first event in person was that it was much different. It wasn't a typical networking event. We weren't just, passing out business cards and working the room and such. It was much more about actual connections, which I loved, and it's been able to help grow my business in the last few years. So another thing I noticed is that there was a huge highlight on being inclusive. And so that was something that definitely stood out for me. And it's a community, an event that's for the community and by the community. So again, this is our Seattle location. We've got 130 plus other communities, tons of volunteers. We all meet 9 a.m. on Wednesdays. I attended Tampa this morning, which was fun, as well as Minneapolis. So you can always figure out the different time zones and go to different 1MCs, which is fun. So our 3 pillars, education, presentations, and connections. And so today we're going to have a presentation from an entrepreneur. And last week, our first event of 2022 was more about connections. We were all able to kind of share a little bit about our businesses, what we do, what we're passionate about. And it all goes back to those 3 pillars. And we are doing an in-person event February 16th, which is super exciting. We've been on Zoom for quite a while, so we're excited to put this together and meet in person. So definitely another reason to bookmark that link tree so that you can get updates for that with the location and some info on our presenters for February 16th. And then a thank you to our sponsors. Method Customization and McLaughlin Method. We wouldn't be able to do this, to run these events without them, as well as our community volunteers. So we kind of all come together, bring our skills, bring our passions, and put these events together. And we're always looking for others to join us. So if there's a specific task that maybe something you want to, practice in your business, and kind of bring that over to 1MC and help us run these events, feel free to reach out to us. You can email us. We're always looking for more community volunteers to get involved. And we're just a fun group to work with, so you'll have fun with us. And then what to expect. So we will get a 6-minute presentation from Melvin Price with NiteLifeNav. And then after that, we'll do 20 minutes of Q&A, and then more coffee and conversation in smaller breakout rooms just to further connect. And so some tips for being a supportive listener. What helps me is taking notes during the presentation, just writing out, what stands out and what I want to learn more about. And then also the main thing, where you can kind of share your expertise for maybe an area that might help out Melvin and his business. And then rather than telling the entrepreneur what you think they should do, kind of form your questions with what about, or have you thought of, or, just speak from your experience, and then limit distractions so that we can focus our energy on the presenter. So when we open up the Q&A, you can use the raise hand feature to get in line to ask your question, or you can type in the chat your feedback or question that you have. And with that, I will bring up our first presenter of 2022. And we'll start a timer, Melvin, so you get 6 minutes. But if you guys could help me welcome Melvin to the virtual stage, that would be awesome. And I will stop share so you can.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. Okay, good morning, everyone. This is my second time pitching in Seattle. So I'm actually really excited because the first time I pitched before COVID, I pitched, like I said, numerous times all over the US. But when I pitched at this location, it was the first time, I'll never forget. I tell people all the time that this is the location where I stopped being nervous, and I feel like I became better at pitching, because I'll never forget I pitched and I felt uncomfortable. I was like, man, I'm not doing a good job. And then during the Q&A, I apologized. I said, I'm sorry, I didn't do good. And at your location, they told me, we would have never known that you were uncomfortable or nervous if you hadn't mentioned it to us. And I said, and then it's like a light clicked. And I said, I didn't know that. So, and it just, that was the turning point for me. So after that, I've been pitching, no problems, no big deal. It's just, I still get little butterflies, but I no longer struggle as much, because, and this was the location that was the turning point for me. So well, now that I'm at further along than where I was before, I wanted to come back here because I'm just really grateful, because you guys helped me turn the corner and become a better pitcher. Now, for my company, I have a bunch of slides, but I'm just going to basically tell you what I'm doing and go from there. So what I have is what will be coming out is a nightlife app. It's called NiteLifeNav. So one thing I like to do is travel, but a lot of people. So what my app is it's a nightlife app. So say for example, if I come to Seattle tomorrow, I don't live in Seattle. I don't know if you want to see. If I want to go to a nightlife event, like if I want to go to a bar, lounge, or club, how my app works is you put in there, I want to hear hip hop in a bar. I'm in Friday night in Orlando, in Seattle, and everything, and I'm in downtown Seattle. So everything in that area pops up for venues, and then I can click on to see how it is. So what makes us unique is that we have a website, and the website switches to different languages for tourists, but also we have a Waze feature. So each venue is going to have its own timeline. So people that are, when they're within the venue, they can upload comments and pictures and videos, so you know how the venue is in real time. So when you're outside the club, you never know, oh, is it busy or is it dead? Because you know from the people within the club. But on top of that, what makes us unique is the fact that we will be one of the first app to, because we actually have a blockchain cryptocurrency aspect. So when you're uploading the comments and pictures and videos, you're actually going to be able to generate currency. So we give you coins for the pictures, the videos, the comments you post on that timeline, and then you're going to keep it in your own little wallet, and then you're going to be able to, we're going to create an ecosystem. So when we get to the point with partnerships and stuff, you can get into the club for free, your coins, you can get free drinks with the coin, pay for your Uber home. So we want to create a whole ecosystem where you use the coins for this, but the only way you're able to get the coin is via uploading comments and pictures and videos on the timeline in a nightclub or bar or lounge. So obviously it's either certain venues you'll be able to get more coins if you go to certain venues, or if you certain nights of the week, or so there's always going to be ways to build up. But once we get to, I'm trying to between 15, 20 cities and maybe 40, 50 million users, then the coin will go live. And then anybody that has coins will be able to actually use it for currency, like money, because then it'll be a live cryptocurrency. But the only way you'll be able to get it now for the foreseeable future is only through my app. So that is the key. And that's why I was at CES last week and networking, meeting tons of people at CES, and CES was phenomenal. I don't care if people say, oh, COVID, not many people showed up. I was there, and there were still a lot of people at the event itself. Even though when the Raiders came to town, then it was really packed, but that's another story. So now to go to the migrant. So that's the problem, and so this is how we are the solution to the dilemma. Because a lot of people, when they go out, they want to go out and they have fun. So there's Yelp, there's Google, it's a bunch of stuff that's going on, but we're the one that's catered towards you. We're the one that I want to hear this type of music. I want to be in this environment of people, and I want to, this is what I want. So my app is easy to cater towards you. So that's what makes us unique. And we're going to be, like I said, we're similar to Waze. I don't know if you can see that. So this is what the app is going to look like. The app is actually currently, it's almost basically, we're in MVP phase now, so it just got completed. And so we're going to be adding data because we're going to launch. That is my question for you guys later on is I'm undecided about where to launch because a party will love to launch in Denver, another part will love to launch in Toronto, and another part of me will love to launch in London. So I have an ability to launch in any of those three cities. But I'm curious what you guys think about which city would be a good place to launch. And I'll give you the kind of pros and cons real quick. Denver is a good place in the States. They have where our target demographic is 50% locals and 50% tourists. Denver has a huge international group of people that come in every year. So I think I can hit both demographics. I like Toronto. Toronto's had the same thing, but it's a much bigger city, very international. And then London is just one because I want to be global. I want to get my app to the point where if you go to London, you go to Paris, you go to Barcelona, you go to Berlin, or you go to Dubai, and you want to have some fun, but you never know what's going on in those scenes. You can just click on my app. I'm in Dubai. I'm in this part of Dubai where there's kind of music, and then it's very simple. So it's going to be literally one stop. And so how we earn revenue is we have native ad space, we have user data, and we have partnerships. So with user data, we own the backend data. So it'll be easy for us to, because the fact we can sell backend data, blah, 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 but also we have native ad space. And with the native ad space, so each city, our revenue is going to be 75% local ads that we get revenue from, 25% nationwide ads. So if you're saying Grey Goose or any kind of national ad, we can get revenue from that, but also from every city we launch in, from the neighborhood restaurants or bars or anything in the area that, we can also partner with the tourism industry. We get revenue from that as well. So that's one thing that's huge for us is that we want to partner with the tourism industry, hotels, rental cars, and everything like that. So we also are a brand. We have t-shirts, our logo is trademark, and we actually have a proof of concept because we were live in Miami, Orlando, and Vegas for 2014 to 2015. It was one of those things where we would have failed because of the fact that we were a website only. And so I left Florida where it was initially launched and to California and learn about the California in Texas is amazing because you learn so much and there's so many ways to grow and evolve. But that is originally how we came about. It was in Florida. Jesus, it's been 8.5 years. It'll be 9 years in July. So I've been grinding this for a long, long, long time. And also, could you let me know when I have like a minute left so I can kind of close? Yes,
Yeah.
no? Okay.
Yeah, 1 to 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you. So this is our brand. So we're gonna have t-shirts and stuff like that, hats, and a lot of it reveal. So this is a way to get the brand out there so people know. So they're gonna get to the point where you see NLN or just the shirts and like that, the color scheme, they're gonna understand that this is NiteLifeNav. And we want to get to the point where we partner with maybe kind of just to get the word out there and product placement and stuff like that. And we'll be able to track our users. And phase one is going to be, like I said, target 18 to 28, and then mobile iteration on the front page. And then we're just going to get marketing like that. But then as we expand each city, because we're going to do we'll find the first city, then after that, expand city to city to city. So we get to the point that each city that we expand to, you set up yours. So the app will always be free. You find out the information, just go into the app and I'm in this area, blah, blah, but it'll want you to set up a profile when you want to upload comments and pictures and videos. You need to set up a profile and then you go from there. But my vision is to always have it free. And how we're going to keep the information accurate is we're going to hire brand ambassadors. So brand ambassadors, they're going to go into the clubs every week and not only get people to use it, but then also make sure the information is correct. So that's one way that we know our information is going to be accurate. Because to me, that's the most important thing is to have information accurate and up to date. And so by having brand ambassadors go into the city and just say, hey, we have a little partial, this is what we're doing, this is the app and so, and what DJs, what artists are performing that you bring in this week, what clubs are performing this week. So the database will always be evolving. So you never say, oh, this club is closed, we get the venue and it's closed, but no, because we're vetted each venue in advance. And like I said, we want to launch and expand to be global, worldwide. And in summary, this has been a long, long road. But at the end of the day, there's a void in the marketplace. There's nothing out here and people don't realize that, oh, it's not like whatever, blah, blah. But it's billions and billions of dollars that's generated every year in the nightlife industry. So I used to work for Calvin Harris, and this is back 2016, 17. And he would fly to Vegas at night on a Saturday night, and he would leave like 11 at night, get back at 3:30, 4 in the morning, and he would make $450,000 every night. So if he's making that kind of money just spending at the Omnia, imagine how much money there is in this nightclub scene. So there's tons of money, tons of ways to do this, and tons of partnerships. But STD clinics, we're passing out flyers and everything. But at the end of the day, there's just nothing out here that simplifies your life for the nightlife scene, and that's what we're going to do nationwide, worldwide. Melvin Price, thank you. Have a good day.
Whew, that was amazing. Thank you, Melvin. Thank you, thank you. And if anyone has questions, again, just feel free to use the raise hand feature. I do have a question. When it comes to your launch, what all is that going to entail? What does that look like for you so far?
What it would be is we have like a little launch party in the city that we launch in, and then we would have our brand ambassadors go out into the different nightlife venues and just start spreading the word immediately. Because one of the things that I've realized is that a lot of people have, and this is a way to express it, called FOMO, fear of missing out. And this is what makes us unique is that when people are in the club, everybody when they're in the club, they're always posting their stories on Instagram stories or whatever. I'm in the club at the time, but imagine this app. So when you're posting on my timeline, you can actually export your stories to your own social media platform, Instagram, to Facebook, Twitter, whatever. You can export it, but everybody can see you partying and having a good time in this club. Everybody can see you, tossing about dancing, whatever. And so that's what makes this unique, is because now instead of just only the people in your story see you, the world will see you. And then on top of that, within 24 hours, if you post it on a timeline, it disappears. So say you're 1 o'clock in the morning posting and having a good time by like noon, 1 o'clock the next morning, all it's already gone. And then you're already preparing for the next day. But to answer your question, we're gonna have a little launch party in the cities, but we'll have our brand ambassadors go out to the different nightlife venues and they'll start getting the word out, passing out shirts and flyers and all that stuff, but also just going to the clubs themselves to say this is a new app that you can use.
Cool. Yeah. I'm wondering if you've thought about maybe doing it in multiple cities, maybe
launching in multiple cities. If I get to the point where I have enough staff, yeah. have enough people, and I'm like, okay, I can be in one city, somebody else, to me, I mean, trust is important. I need to have somebody that, or if you're in the city launching things, I don't have to worry, like, oh my God, this is somebody that, is gonna, because it's like, you only get one chance to make a first impression. So
totally.
It's literally, I have zero, no wife or kids, so for me, it would be easy to go from city to city to city. Just launching it. If I already lived it for 8.5 years, what's another year and a half, just, because I think once the product is complete now and embedded and everything, and it'll be simple to go from one city to another city, it's like, because a lot of the information is already in our system.
Makes sense. Thank you. Sarah. Hi, Sarah.
She's unmuted. She's unmuted.
You're muted.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, no, no sound still. Okay, well, come back to you. Jessica, how are you?
I am good. I hope I'm not muted.
No.
Well, I apologize. I'm walking and there's street noise. So I will caveat my questions with, I'm a 50-year-old woman who doesn't go out clubbing. So let's just put that out there right now. But I love the concept. The thing that I always come back to, the question I always have with social apps like this, two parts sort of. One, how do you deal with micro communities? So like the gay community versus the hip hop community, etc. And two, the person who's posting, like they either, so like Yelp, if they love crappy pizza and they go, this is the best pizza place ever, I might go there and be like, this is the crappiest pizza I've ever had. So how do you get those micro communities, not with it, even within like the gay community or the hip hop community or whatever micro community, but also within like, I like really loud, this kind of music versus I like a quiet, mellow, loungy place. And so how do you sort of rate the raters so that people know they're in their own micro community? That was a long question, sorry.
No, no worries. We're not rating anybody. That's what makes us unique. We're not rating anybody. So to answer the questions, if a person's like, and I completely understand what you're talking about because that was annoying to me as well. Like just because somebody on Yelp likes something that's good for them, but it has nothing to do with you. So that's why we're so unique. We are tailored towards where you want to go, what you want to do. So nobody's rating any venue. We're completely impartial. All they're doing is just, you're seeing how the venue is in real time from the person inside the club. So they're not able to say, oh, this is the best place. You know, you can just, you see for yourself, you can look at it and say, oh, they look, they're having a great time, but that's not the type of environment I want to be in. I want to be in an environment that's different. I want to be in a lounge. I want to be in a jazz club. You know, then you go to that type of venue, but we don't do anything where promoting people. We're not promoting anybody at all. Actually, we're only seeing this is how the venue is in real time. And answer your other question, there is no such thing as there's a hip hop. We just provide information. We're information based. So if you want to go to LGBTQ club, then you just put in I want to go to a venue like that, and then this is what they're who's performing at that venue, type of crowd, dress code, and that's it. So we're just that's what makes us unique, is because we are a database of information, because so many people want this information, but it's so hard to obtain because it's so inaccurate, it's not employed or anything like that. It's just the hardest information that's actually authentic and real. So that's why we hire brand ambassadors. They're the ones that make sure that the information is on point. So that's why it's not about a scene or promoting the scene. It's just about, this is where I want to be at, and then you click in that and our search parameters, and that's it. Did that answer your questions?
Thank you. Yes. Sorry, I'm crossing the street, so I'm trying not to die.
Don't do that. Don't die.
Let's not do that, Jessica. We need you. Thank you
Perfect.
for the question. Let's get to Matthew. Hi, Matthew.
Good morning. Yeah, thank you, Melvin. I love what you're doing. It's really interesting. And I know personally, I want clubs that play house music with great dance floors and that they aren't crowded. So if I can't find that, I don't want to go, right?
Exactly.
And so I totally get the problem and where you're coming from. I guess, and I lived in New York for 10 years. So my first question is, when I saw that, I was like, oh God, New York is like the obvious answer. Why did you choose Denver as opposed to LA or New York or some of the bigger cities that have larger populations with more clubs? Just curious about your decision-making there.
Denver is because of the fact that LA will be a good city, but it's so massive. If I had, thousands upon thousands or millions of funding, then that's a different story. But when you're bootstrapping for now, you pick a city that I've lived in Denver for 5 years, so I know the market of the city. And I know I hate to say easy, but it'd be a lot easier than LA. And even though I live in San Fran, I wouldn't launch here because I think certain cities you need money, you need time, and you need something where if I'm fully funded in LA, San Fran, whatever, but you have to do a city where I think also is because of the place that I can own the whole city. So when they have tourism, you will have, so I can get maybe 2, 3, 400, 500,000 people in Colorado, Denver alone just using my app. And because of the fact that they have tourists coming in, the airport is like fifth busiest in the world for international tourists because in the summertime, people come in and then they literally go from Denver to Yellowstone and the Rocky Mountains, and they'll travel all over. So I can get the international tourists to come there in the summer and wintertime, and then I have the locals that live there as well. So then it's like once I do well there, then I can point out, okay, I'm like 50% market penetration in this city, and then I can get, and I don't know about what funding, or if I just want maybe a loan because then I'm generating revenue, and then just go to the city, then you still retain equity. So it just depends on, but it's like if you prove and you're in one of the biggest cities in the US that you're doing phenomenal in that city, then you can do well. And I don't want to, and that's why I didn't choose Miami. That's why, or not Orlando, or Seattle or LA or San Fran, because the cities where you have to be fully funded and to stand out. And then Denver will be easy to stand out and succeed.
Nice. Thank you for the question, Matthew. Sheila, how's it going?
Good. Thanks. Yeah, this is interesting, Melvin. I'm just thinking of I tend to live in destination locations. And I know it's called NiteLifeNav, but how about all those, destination spots with really active visitor centers, or like Monterey Bay, or places that are trying to get information out to people who are coming in general, like I just remember being part of meetings like that where it's like, let's educate the cabbies, or like they're really desperate to create a unified presentation of a location, of a destination location. Or now I live in one, and I know they have an app for people who are guests here, but I don't know how much that app really covers. Like right now, how many restaurants are closed, like a lot, because everyone's testing positive for COVID, and then they have to close down. And, I think it'd be kind of cool if you're going to a destination to kind of go in and say, oh, I know like really actually what's going on right now.
Well, thank you for the question. It depends because if some of these destinations have maybe 2 or 3 clubs or 4 at the most. So that's, I would prefer a city that actually has a vibing club scene.
So you're really looking for the club scene.
Well, it's not even just clubs, it's bars, lounges, and nightclubs. So even if it's a bar, but if the destination has maybe only a total of 5 or 6 bars, lounges, and nightclubs, then that would be, further down the road, obviously. But you want something that has a substantial amount of people and venues, because that's something that, that people used to tell me, why would you want to launch in Orlando? When we first launched for Orlando, Miami, and Vegas. And I said, Orlando has 75 million tourists that come there every year, and they have 2 or 3 million locals. And on top of that, they'll have a country bars with that. They'll have, jazz, they'll have live music. So it's a diverse amount of venues. So, and that's something that most people would never know. If you go to Orlando, Florida, they have 4 or 5 country bars. So my thing is, I think that's why I do cities first that have a diversity of nightlife, because that's what people like to do when they're in their own home. But if you go to a new city, you're not going to know if you're visiting Denver for the first time that they have this country bar right here, this part of the city, this part of the city, this part of the city. And so that's why I want to get that information out, so it's all in one nice, easy, simple packet. And also the piggyback of your comment, COVID really kind of hurt us per se, because we were trying to go live right before COVID. I've been in San Francisco working at a a hotel to get the word out, working at a rental to get the word out, so we're ready to get exposure. And then COVID hit, and I'm just like, Jesus. So kind of used the last couple of years to kind of fine tune, and this is when we kind of came up, because we weren't initially gonna even launch with cryptocurrency. We're gonna wait like until we like we're in our fifth or sixth city. But within this time talking to different people, they're like, well, just launch with it now, but you don't make the coins by. I mean, the coins by once you reach a certain threshold for users and cities you live your life. So thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. Hi, Stephanie.
Just Sarah, are you ready to go? I don't know if your audio is going, because I think Sarah should probably go next if her audio is working.
So,
I'm going to try. Is it working?
yay!
Oh, thank
We're
God.
good.
So I've been chomping at the bit to talk to you because I'm from London, and I used to be somewhat involved in hospitality and nightclub industry. I have a lot of friends who run venues in London and are involved in things like ticketing and artist booking. So I wanted to mention all that because you talked about London as a possible place. And I just wanted to share like 3 headline things that you may already be aware of, but I want to make sure you are aware of if you're looking at London as a possible city. The first thing is obviously, you know, with COVID, as everywhere, the nightclub industry has taken a big hit. So they are desperate to get people back, but people are keen to get back to it. But also they're looking a lot more at outdoor events. So there's going to be like a real blast of festivals coming up this summer. People are already going nuts for it, basically. So that's something, I don't know if your app would include like outdoor music festivals, but that's, if not, I would definitely strongly suggest that. The other thing I was going to say is that I think London's a difficult one in that even though there's extraordinarily large amounts of money in that industry, you also kind of, I think there's a big advantage to being physically present there because there's a bit of an ecosystem, and I'm sure you know, where people all know each other. It's one of those things, if you get in with people, you kind of have to be there and chatting to someone in a bar when it, you know what I mean, to have those conversations in real life is really powerful. And then the other thing I was going to say is there are already lots of competition app-wise in London. So the 3 that and again, you may be aware of these, that are really strong are Time Out, Londonist and Resident Advisor. So if you're not already familiar with those, I'll pop them in chat and have a look at those, because particularly Resident Advisor, which is just a nightclubs niche. So that's all my stuff I've been wanting to say while my audio was down.
Well, thank you for the question. And I probably should tell you, I used to live in London. I used to
Oh,
live
you
in
did?
Islington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well,
So
you didn't know
London's
that.
my favorite city in the world. I was there last year 4 times.
Whereabouts did you live?
I used to live in Islington, so I don't know if you know Islington, but there's Upper and Essex Road.
Oh, yeah,
I was on Essex Road,
yeah.
right before Great Pines Road. So I used to live in London.
I'm from Brixton, so yeah, we were on the other side. Yeah, you've been out in Brixton?
I've been in Brixton, yes.
Yeah,
I used to work in pubs in London, so I used to work in pubs all over.
Okay, all right, then I'll give up on that. But what I would say, okay, so I don't want to dominate this, but I do have a friend who runs one of the clubs in the O2. I've got a friend who runs private members clubs. Yeah, so if any of that's useful, but it sounds like you're already very well connected there, so yeah.
Please send me, I'm not as connected as you are, but please send me the information. And to be honest with you, I would move to London tomorrow if they said, we'll give you some funding and you can launch it, because I know him. So what I would do is I would launch in Piccadilly. And then what most people don't know is that when you live in London, the clubs people tend to only party in clubs in their area. So if you live in Earl's Court, or you live in Islington, or you live in Canary Wharf, you're only going to party. You go to Stratford, you're only going to party in venues in your area, because it's just too massive. Plus, people get to drinking and stuff. And then if say you live in Stratford, but you're partying in Islington, that could be a 40-minute commute just to get home. So most people in the UK and London, they only party in their areas. So if I went to Piccadilly, that's the one part of London where everybody kind of comes to because it is Piccadilly, that's the biggest and the best. So I would launch there first and other little places as well. So yeah, if I could get
Yeah, we should
people
take
let
it
me
offline.
in, I'm there.
Yeah, I was gonna say we should take that offline because there's some other things I can tell you about. Yeah, because I could get into this conversation a lot more deeply, and
Yeah, no,
send you a
see, if I could, what's one of the things that I was grateful for at CES, because I met people at CES from that are looking to bring people over to UK for business. So they're
Oh,
going to help me.
interesting.
That would be obviously first choice because I love London, and it's like once if I'm able to launch there, then I could go international like a lot faster. And then I can
Yeah.
do Prague, do Edinburgh, I can do Paris, I can do Berlin because I'm
Oh
already.
yeah, if you do London, you're sorted.
Yeah, you go
Yeah.
like this. And then it would be go back to the States because if you're known world and throughout the world, then if you go to the States, then it's not gonna be a big thing because you're gonna already have money behind you, you're gonna have cachet behind you because people like you're gonna be a brand, a worldwide brand, and then you go to the States. You know, it's not a big thing. So it's like I am fortunate, I'm blessed because I did live there for a year and I go every year. Well, go all the time. And I got what I'll do is I'll fly to London, British Airways, and so I always stay in Stratford because it's Heathrow to Stratford with a tube.
Yeah. Oh, how funny. Oh, yeah. All right. I'll stop now so people can chat to you.
Heartbeat. I'll move there in a heart tomorrow.
I do miss it. It's a lot of fun.
Put it in storage and I'm gone. So you have no idea.
Great. I love the connections. We'll post a Google Doc we made last week so you guys can put your info in there and make sure to connect offline. But I think that is an amazing connection right there. Stephanie.
Wonderful presentation. I'm trying to I like to give a lot of context with my questions. So I want to make sure I be as straight as possible in terms of what I'm asking. I'm curious of your future plans in terms of making sure you're competent. So you have your basis of your application is to provide very specific information to a community of users who is looking for very certain categories and tagging. In terms of distribution of that information, you're looking at a database of basically interests and you're adding that to the app. Do you have plans? Because as we know in the technological world is that whoever can get the data scraped faster, get the information better, who has the better connections in order to know these things, not to mention venues, restaurants, and Yelp at the beginning actually having these issues, tend to not update their information very regularly. So to have that information very quickly in the system, in terms of distribution, to make sure that you're the app to choose, besides just information, do you have any other plans to make you, I'm trying to think of the best word, to push yourself further from the competition of like another information app?
There's not a lot of competition because most people don't. First, thanks for the question. It's actually a very good question. We'll update this literally weekly. Every single week is being updated, and that's why we're hiring brand ambassadors. And I've done a lot of stuff. I worked a lot of jobs, and it was funny. I used to work for with a lady, and she was a brand ambassador. And what she would do is she would sell cigarettes. And she'd go to the venue and getting people, engaging people, and getting them to get cigarette coupons, stuff like that. And it was just easy. It's not a complicated. She was doing 10 to 15 venues a night, and it was just easy going there for a little bit and boom, boom, boom. And so what we would do is, like, to me, the most important thing to me about this app is that it does what it's supposed to do, that it holds people, so people are up with time. It's not gonna freeze or whatever. But the most important number one thing is that the information is accurate. Because the worst thing in the world is to go to a venue and you want to hear hip hop in a bar on a Friday night and there's no hip hop because the week before it was hip hop, or this night is not hip hop, but it's Wednesday night or you missed the night, the information is incorrect. Or you want to hear the specific DJ because you followed it to the addition to your guy, but then he's not there because he's somewhere else, or he was there the day before, or you miss it, or it's the worst feeling in the world when you want to go somewhere something and you miss it because you're a day short. So my thing is, that's why to me brand ambassadors are the most important thing. because, and then I'm gonna give them health insurance, whatever. But it's like they're the ones that are literally out there around, and then they're gonna be empowered to. So say if the DJ calls out, they have the availability to go to the database and then put in like this is what's changed. This artist is gonna be here now, not this DJ, and go from there. So that is the most, because if you don't have accurate information, then nothing else matters. Then nobody's gonna use your app. So your credibility is your reliable information. And that's
And I guess
why
that's my concern, just saying for something to look out for is because you're relying on the venue to provide that accurate information. And knowing that you're basically at the mercy of the venue, whether or not they're going to insert the data. And I would also open up kind of the viewpoint, not just because right now you're talking to me as if the reason why this is unique is based on qualitative data of what people are inserting in the application. In your business, I would look at competition not based off of the data, but based off the structure. Because if someone else comes along with another app who has a better user experience, who has the information easier for the venue to use, you got competition very quickly in the same space. So I would look at from a competitive standpoint for an application that may not be the data, as you're saying, like, hey, we're an app that has these venues, we solve this problem, but rather what makes your application different and something that's unique for nightlife that makes people want to use the app. So just more of like different things I would look out for, I would be concerned with, because I don't know where you are. Besides, obviously, you guys launched in 2021 before the pandemic, but there might be something in the future where you're looking at investments or rounds or, hey, expansion, that these are things to consider, not just, again, the locations, but the interface itself. So I know that's a long-winded question, a lot of different things to think about, but.
But I think valid points, because one thing we also pride ourselves on is being able to pivot, because like I said, we started off as just a database only, and when I saw that it was not gonna succeed that way, we actually were in the App Store live, and so we pulled it out of the App Store because that version would have failed. We even had a different logo, because even the logo wasn't garbage, honestly. So I hear what you're saying, and I agree with what you're saying, but we don't depend on the venues for information. We get the information. So we go to the venues and say, hey, blah, blah, what's going on? But it's like, at the end of the day, we're not charging these clubs any price to be on our app. Everything for them is free. So they have, and if we succeed, they're going to succeed, because anybody's going to be able to find out information for their venue for free. And so that's why you can say we kind of partner with them in a way, but that to me is the most important thing, is that we believe everybody can succeed. Very simple.
Right. And that takes manpower. So a little bit of my experience, I had a friend from UW who actually was on the ground floor before Uber Eats became a thing. And he had multiple call centers he was working with people calling to get people set up with their menus before Uber Eats even launched. So another thing to think about is, again, I don't know where you're at or the size of your team, but what is it to say that Yelp said, you know what, I want to have an offshoot for nightlife. We already have a bunch of people. We have horrible, if not very aggressive sales team. If everyone has talked to a Yelp person about their business, what makes them, things to barricade competitors coming into your space? Because if they have just someone to go in there and just, yeah.
No, that's interesting. What also makes us unique is I think our Waze feature is crucial, because before, that was one reason why we put the finance stores. If I had it and we're hanging out, there's no reason for you to have that, because I have it, we're hanging out and whatever. But now everybody can with their own social media platform, and you can upload your own comments and pictures and videos. And then also the fact that we're going to give you coins. No company is giving you coins. No app is going to make you have this interactive experience. But also, I think what makes us stands out is the fact that I've worked in clubs for 15, 20 years, and I know the club scene. So even those people like Yelp or something say, oh, we're going to do something like this and it's going to succeed. At the end of the day, if you don't know the environment, if you don't know the scene, if you don't know anything about it, you can spend all the money you want, and it's just going to be waste. Like, that's one of the reasons why I like to say we're the WhatsApp of nightlife, because they found a niche. And then what they did was they perfected their niche. And I'll never forget, I saw him speaking, one of the owners of it, and he said, we never worried about the competition. He said, because all we cared about was our product. If we kept perfecting our product and made it better, made it stronger, then the competition doesn't matter to us because we know our product is the best and we keep evolving and making it better. That's what I live by, is that philosophy.
Based on your presentation, that is golden. Your user base, your community is what's going to stick you there. That's the people who are going to root for you. That's your active base.
Exactly.
The way you were presenting, it sounded like information is what made the difference. I think the social aspect of, we have a community who's there on the ground sharing pictures, as you mentioned, fear of missing out, why you need to be there and why a venue would be attracted to that, because you have the community user base. I would start there versus we have the best information, because I think that's not unique enough versus a community base and say, hey, we know the nightlife scene. We have people on there. We have, I mean, there's a lot of, I personally can't say from my own experience, but let's say, you know, there's clubs that have celebrities come in, or someone's there this evening, wish you were here kind of thing. Like in California, there's so much stuff you could use that just based on social community versus just information. Because another information app is you just change the fields as a dime a dozen, but the consumer base, your user base, would be key to market. So that's my final thoughts, as my closing thoughts on that.
Well, I agree with you, but also another reason that I agree 1,000%, and that's why there is a combination of both. You can't have the information app without having the Waze feature. You can't have the Waze feature without having the information. And the reason why the information part is so crucial, because if you were to go into Google right now and say, I'm in Vegas and I want to go to the Omnia Club tonight, or Tao, they'll have information on there about this is what's kind of going on. But the thing is, it's never completely correct or accurate. And so that's what makes us unique, is the fact that we're reliable. But if you were down the road, if somebody wants to buy me, then what they're going to want is that database. When they can already say, hey, no matter which city I go to, any major city in the USA or world, this database is 100% accurate and correct. And that's why I couldn't leave that, because if I'm trying to sell for WhatsApp money or whatever, the fact that I have a database that information is power. And that's why, to me, it's an important thing to say that I have information that people want, like Facebook will want to buy, Google will want to buy, but they will want it because of the data, not because of the user interaction. Well, you know what I mean?
But you're not quite there yet, right?
No, I'm not. But
right.
I will be one day.
That's the if. That's the problem with startups and applications, is that time frame, who gets there first. So that's I could go on and on about all this stuff, because there's so much history about applications and startups and tech startups and, you know, the ifs and what from there. I would just keep in mind of all those things. I love the idea. It's one of those things where, because I'm being so specific about stuff, is because I think it's a good idea. If I just said, oh, that's cool, then it would be a different story. But again, it's a great idea. And I just say, don't, look at all the different possibilities. So.
Thank you.
Cool. Let's see, I will share my screen again. Thank you for all the questions, everyone. That was amazing. I hope you got some useful stuff out of it, Melvin. And then we always like to ask our question, what can the 1 Million Cups community do for you specifically? And I touched on it a little bit.
Oh, you already did it. Like, it shakes me this question. No, they've already done it. Just the fact that this is actually the first time I've pitched in over 2 years, since before COVID, 2019. So I'm just grateful that I'm able to pitch to people that understand what I'm trying to do, see the goal. But on top of that, they've already helped, because they gave me positive feedback, they gave me good information, but most importantly, they gave me the ability to say, well, which city I should launch in. So I've always was like on the fence between those 3 cities. So now it's down to 2. It's either London or Denver. If I can get it to London, then I'm there. I'll do 1 million cups from London. It's just that simple, I'm a type of person, I believe in loyalty. When people are there for you, when you're low or small, then when you get big, you never forget where you came from. So I'll always do, no matter what company comes to next what's up, I'll say, hey, I'll do 1 million cup, whatever. It doesn't matter to me. But I think that's what they did for me. This is probably 20th time pitching, and I always get information. and I always get help. So I'm just grateful. So that I'm grateful to the community. I'm very happy.
Thank you. Thank you. And we are grateful for you as well and for your presentation. I'm glad that that was helpful. And if anyone else would like to kind of get the same type of feedback that Melvin did, this experience, we would love for you to apply to present. It's a super quick application. You just need to be a new business or in transition to something new. Like we've all kind of been doing since the pandemic, all of those pivots. So if that's you, we would love to hear from you. So you can apply to present. And the link is in the chat. And then again, we are always looking for community volunteers to get involved. And if you're looking for a way to give back to the community, this is a great opportunity. And personally why I volunteered as an organizer. So you can do the same just by emailing us or reaching out to one of the organizers here. And then again, here is our link for the link tree, which is already in the chat. And next week we have Stephanie, who you just heard from with Counterweight Media. So I am super excited for that event. Marketing is not my strong suit. So Stephanie always provides great tips and skills there. So we get to see Stephanie next week for an educational presentation. But for now, that is it. We will do breakout rooms for a little bit. I think
those are ready to go.
Those are ready to go. So thank you guys for having us. It was a really, really, really great morning.